I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. Welcome to today's edition of Weather to Watch. This feature just highlights some significant weather. It comes out every other day or so and deals with the lower 48. So we're looking at the visible satellite loop here on Wednesday. Shows kind of a trouble zone here, or at least a frontal zone of some concern. Also a little wave right here. Otherwise, most of the rest of the country is pretty quiet. If we compare that with the 500 millibar flow, we have this broad, positively tilted trough that is just moving through the central and eastern U.S. right now, and pretty good flow in the jet stream level from Texas through the southeast, causing some severe weather trouble there. And this little wave right here is actually causing some snow and rain in parts of Colorado, Kansas, and that area. If we take a look at the hazards, I just grabbed this late in the afternoon. This is a tornado watch right here. At the time I grabbed it, there was even one tornado warning going on. These are all frost and freeze advisories through this area here, and this is a winter weather advisory. And that about sums up the more significant weather on the map here on this Wednesday afternoon. A front is moving through New England, moving through Virginia, is moving through the southeast. There's a little wave or kink along the front there in Louisiana. The severe weather hazard is right here. We'll detail that in a second. Front kind of does what it usually does. It gets into the Rockies and gets held up as a kind of a quasi-stationary front. Same with this extension of it here. If we look at major precipitation today, this is the severe weather risk area. I'll highlight that here next. This is more of a general rain area, the solid green color from New York State into New England. This is snow, mostly in the higher elevations, but it is hitting the ground in parts of the Front Range and eastern Colorado too. And then when it warms up, it becomes rain. Let's take a look at that severe weather situation. Well, on Wednesday, what remains of it this evening, and actually this outlook does technically go till 7 a.m. on Thursday morning, so a level 3 out of 5 severe weather risk from Jackson, Mississippi to Montgomery and Birmingham, Alabama. Pretty high. All hazards are possible there. I'll just, for this video, focus on the tornado hazard. So the green is 2, and the brown is 5, and the yellow is 10% chance of a tornado within 25 miles. So still an active threat down there, along with some hail and some gusty winds as well. Let's take a look, though, at what's going on over the next week. Now, this is prepared Monday, late in the day, so it goes Monday through Sunday, basically. So we're already 2 days into this. But what this illustrates is that we have this large trough of low pressure. It takes up the eastern two-thirds of the United States, but ridging is beginning to develop here. That has an impact on temperature. Ridging usually means above normal temperatures, and that's exactly what's beginning to set in. That's not even the half of it. This area down here is going to see a lot more heat as we progress for the next week, even 2 weeks, whereas the eastern two-thirds of the U.S. Are very cool with the epicenter of below normal temperatures there in southern Canada. Let's continue looking at these weather maps. So this front, remember there was a wave right here. It moves to South Carolina on Thursday roughly. There's still a severe weather threat, although not as consequential there through the panhandle of Florida into Georgia tomorrow, Thursday. A weak little clipper system is what we call these, little wave, little low pressure area moving through that jet stream flow there. You can see the greens are the cooler temperatures, and Florida is still pretty warm in the southwestern U.S. as well. In terms of precipitation on Thursday, just more of a general rain from Chicago over to Detroit and also the lower peninsula of Michigan, and then more scattered showers and storms here. And again, there is a severe weather risk here, but it doesn't show up very predominantly on the risk scale, so it doesn't show up on this map. And then we go to Friday, and we have this little clipper system again, moving this way. Another one right here. The front eventually stalls out in central Florida. Again, the warmer colors are the warmer temperatures here through the plains and through the southwest. The cooler air is going to be reserved for Wisconsin, Michigan, up into New York, Pennsylvania, and New England. They will also be aided in their coolness by rain, basically. So more solid rain from Minnesota and parts of North Dakota back through Michigan and over to parts of the Northeast, where more scattered showers and maybe a crackle of thunder, with the thunder more likely down in this area. Will any of these areas receive what we would call heavy rain? Let's take a look. So indeed, we're looking at the day 3 through 7 period here. So if we go over the next 3 days, we see heaviest rains in Alabama, parts of Mississippi and Georgia. If it's red, it's 2 inches. If it's yellow, it's 4. There's even some 5-inch totals down there in parts of Mississippi and Alabama. So let's go further ahead and take a look at the heat. Now, over the next basically 3 to 7 days, so this Wednesday is meant not for today, but a week from today. So Oklahoma and Texas, a little bit above normal on the heat. Same for parts of California, the interior regions, and the southwestern deserts for the days you see listed there. We can just take a quick snapshot and see what the Weather Service is saying for high temperatures on Monday. And in the interior valleys of California, well into the 100s, and that'll be true for the areas of the desert and the low plateau areas of southwestern Arizona and also parts of southern California. On the complete opposite side of the scale, which you would expect when I showed you that jet stream pattern, it's a ridge and a trough, and they're both pretty strong. So the ridge produces the heat, the trough produces the cool. So on Monday, kind of a frost and freeze situation ongoing in upper parts of Wisconsin. And generally the period Friday through Tuesday is going to be chilly in northern Michigan as well. I'm going to take a snapshot or two. Here's the minimum temperatures expected on Friday morning. So below freezing is blue, and close to the frost point is close to that. So again, lots of these areas here are going to be below freezing. That's Friday morning. If I jump ahead to Monday morning, not as pronounced, but basically the same pattern. So again, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan have a risk of frost and freeze pretty much almost every day from Friday through early next week. Now I'll use the European model to take a look at the week starting this coming Monday, and so the 7 days after that. This takes us well into the middle part of May, and you can see this ridge is really becoming predominant when that trough that I showed you earlier is beginning to wear off a little bit. That's going to lead to a lot of warm temperatures there. If we take a look at the surface anomaly temperatures, it's going to be above normal basically from the Central Plains all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Still a little cool in the Great Lakes and much of the East and New England, and kind of dry once we start that period up with the dew point anomalies or the precipitation rate anomalies showing very, very low in the Central Plains, that ridge really building in. The heat's going to build in too. If we take a look at the heat hazard, for the 12th through the 15th through Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. So that's an extension of what I showed you was already beginning in the 3 to 7 day outlook. And the last thing we'll look at is severe weather potential. It looks like we could have some return moisture through Texas up into parts of the panhandle of Oklahoma and Kansas that could lead to a little bit of supercell development in that part of the world. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.